history between Dan and Andy growing up together, and James and I growing up together as well. We started playing together when we were 15, 16. And James and I played in a band very early on that opened up for Quiet Riot, which was a humorous experience in Birmingham, Alabama. These are the greatest players I've ever played with, and I've kind of said this before, but I feel like I bring these really simple chords and progressions into these guys, and they absolutely just go nuts with it. It's like putting a chess master, in a checker competition or something. They absolutely take these simple things, and it's like, what can they do to make them the most fantastic simple thing you can imagine? And I kind of think that's what happens to us, especially when we play live, is that we kind of are able to play off each other just as sort of the feel of four people in motion, especially after you've played a song, 1,000 times or whatever. You got to do something to make it alive, and somehow they stay alive. And I think that's what it is. It's kind of, we're just sort of in this communication that's happening within the song, without speaking about it. Being on the road is really hard, honestly, most of the time, except when you get up to play. And when you get up to play, it's just this incredible thing that happens that a lot of people never get to experience in their lives, luckily. And even if it's for 20 minutes out of a 24-hour period, or sometimes out of a 2-day period, depending on how far you drive, luckily it's a great enough experience. It moves us enough to keep us going and to make sure that we do it. And luckily that's from other people, from the response we get from people.
Even on the most psychedelic tracks we possibly have, we're still, Southern kids at heart. We still play that way. Your principle love is a maniac flower. Do what you achieve might start the turnstile. Dan, when he started playing piano, got into jazz and just really took to it. And I'll never forget in college, our dean of music came to me one day and said, "I can no longer teach your brother because he has surpassed what I know in jazz as a jazz pianist." And Dan has ended up surpassing everything I thought he could be, and he does it every year. I'm still shocked at his ability to play. Chris is as an actual lyricist, as a songwriter. When he brings something to us, it's always such a great story that he's either read or he's seen. He pays attention. I think it's his greatest asset, and he remembers so much. So he'll come in with a simple idea, like Airport Girl, for example. Just somebody he saw at an airport. Just a girl that he saw at an airport, and that was it. That was his whole premise of writing that song. And he told me, so I'm going to write this song, and I want you guys to pretty much just hammer it out. Let's work on it for the next 4 hours and see what we're going to do. Most people never think about writing a song, that portrays that, but he does. And he does it in such a poetic way. I'm really glad to be a part of that team.
think that the southern element changes. You know, everybody says this is the new South, you know, with Atlanta being sort of the masthead for that. And the funny thing about it is that 95% of the people I meet in Atlanta are not from Atlanta. They're from all over creation. The Midwest, the Northeast. A lot of people from the South that migrated here, but Atlanta's become this sort of homogenous thing. Music has become the same thing. I think people think, well, you can't be Southern rock because you don't sound like the Allman Brothers, you know, what people generally think of as the icons of Southern rock. It's a much broader term than I think a lot of people give credit to, and that sort of changes. REM's a great example. You know, when I think of REM, I think of like this really incredible, unique sound that happened, you know, in their first 4, 5, 6 albums that was sort of, they were kind of pushing ahead and were at the forefront of what a lot of other bands were starting to do, but they were kind of like these original writers. And I think of like kudzu and all these images from their albums, you know, that were my youth, you know, and what it was like to be in the South when I grew up anyway. Because I guess I wasn't, you know, coming from the same experience that somebody like an Allman Brother had, or somebody else you think of as like strictly Southern. But I still had all these weird, bizarre experiences that were, I think, kind of South-centric.